Greetings, Richard Filmer here. Welcome to another edition of Richard's Rock Rambles. So we're going to carry on looking at some concert DVDs today, and I thought we'd try and Deep Purple, one of the classic rock bands from the early 70s, still going today. One of the bands that don't just rest on their laurels, they're still producing new music, creating, which is great to see. You don't want a band just to become a tribute band and roll out the hits. So the first concert is in Copenhagen, Denmark from 1972. And on the same DVD is a short, about 26 minute concert in New York. And you can see there's a marked difference in the concerts, especially between Blackmore and Gillan, who were having a bit of an issue in 73. So this is the DVD I'm talking about. Deep Purple, live in concert 72-73. The complete 1972 Copenhagen show. And then I said there's a short sort of 25-minute 1973 New York concert, which was actually done for a television show in America. I think that's probably why it was pretty short, but there were some notable tracks on there. There's some bonus material on here. There's a 5.0 audio option, interactive menus. There's on-screen histories, an optional commentary if you like, and there's a 4-page DVD booklet. So that's what you get with this one. So the first concert in Denmark opens up with Highway Star, which would become the track that they open pretty much all their concerts with. Tempo, cool rocker with a lot of great keyboard work from John Lord. I should just mention this is the classic Mark II lineup, obviously. So it's John Lord on keyboards, Richie Blackmore on guitar, Ian Gillan on vocals, Ian Pace on drums, and Roger Glover on bass. I think that was everybody. So start off with Highway Star, then they go into Strange Kind of Woman, which was another hit from those days. Then they do Child in Time, a track which Mr. Gillan hasn't sung, I think, for at least 10 years. And you can see why when you watch it on here. The really high-pitched screaming that he used to do back in the day. Ian's now in his 70s, so I don't think that's a possibility anymore. Then they go into The Mule, which is a showcase for Ian Pace on drums. Some great drumming on here. One of the best rock drummers from that era, I think. Then they go into Lazy, which is a cool sort of bluesy rock shuffle. Space Trucking, where there's a lot of improvisation on that track on here. That's what I miss about Purple from those days, is the stretching out of the tracks. You know, everybody had a turn. John Lord on the keyboards and Blackmore on guitar, and the interplay between them. Ian Gillan was up there, of course, with his bongos as well, which I don't think he does anymore. A really great version on here of Space Trucking. Then they go into Fireball, which is another good song. Then they come back for a couple of encores. They do Little Richard's Lucille, great version of that on here. And finally they finish off with Black Knight, which was another hit single of theirs from the early 70s. Then we go to New York a year later in 73. This one's in color. The first one was in black and white. This is in color. There's only 3 tracks on here. Strange Kind of Woman, Smoke on the Water, obviously they're a massive hit. Still played to this day. They have to play it to this day. If I never hear Smoke on the Water again, it'll be too soon. I think that's been done to death. And then another cool version of Space Trucking on here. But you can see the interplay between Blackmore and Gillan is not great. You know, they're starting to drift apart. And shortly after this, Gillan would leave. He wanted to do other things. Roger Glover on bass was told to move on. And then the next lineup started. Really nice concert. A great snapshot of where the band were at that stage. Released by EMI in 2005. Should still be available. So that's that one. And then we move on to 1974, the California Jam, which was an all-day affair. Some big bands back in the day who were, I think there was Rare Earth was there, Emerson, Lake and Palmer were there, Black Oak, Arkansas, all bands that were sort of in the charts back in the day. There was some issue between Deep Purple and Emerson, Lake and Palmer as to who would close the concert. And Richie Blackmore was a bit upset about that. He got a bee in his bonnet and they decided to lock himself away in the dressing room until they came to some sort of, or until he had his way. Some compromise was reached, and I think Emerson, Lake and Palmer did close. I'll speak on the correction, but I think that's what happened. So Richie was quite fired up for this concert, and you can see that on this DVD. There's a short section of the aeroplane landing and then getting off and going to the concert. Back in the day, they had their own Boeing with Deep Purple written on the side. One of the other bands I forgot to mention who were also at this concert was Black Sabbath. And I'm hoping that one day they're going to release a full DVD like this one of their concert, because I think they also did a number of tracks there. It was great to see the Black Sabbath guys back in 74. Anyway, back to Deep Purple. So they start off with Burn, which is probably one of the best tracks from the Mark III era. A real fast-paced rocker starts off with John Lord on the keyboards. Then Ian Pace comes in with Glenn Hughes on bass. Glenn Hughes and David Coverdale were now in the band. Glenn Hughes, of course, was with a band called Trapeze, and David Coverdale was a relative unknown. He'd sent his auditioning tape through to the guys in Deep Purple, and they'd listened to it, and they heard something they liked. He was a bit worse for wear, actually, on that audition tape, but that didn't seem to matter. I think there was even talk of Paul Rodgers from Free and Bad Company joining Deep Purple. But that didn't happen. Probably for the best, I think. So anyway, start off with Burn. Might Just Take Your Life, which is also from that album. Lay Down, Stay Down. Mistreated, featuring David Coverdale on vocals. Some great vocals from him, and some amazing lead guitar from Blackmore on that track. Long track. Smoke on the Water, which of course was their big hit. You Fool No One, also one of the tricks from the Burn album. And another version of Space Trucking to close it all off. And on this version of Space Trucking, when they finish the show, Richie decides he's had enough of a cameraman sticking his camera into his face, so he takes his guitar and just smashes the camera, which he had to pay for afterwards, but not a problem. They had the money back in those days. So there were quite a few explosions in that track. He was throwing over amps and all sorts of things. Great concert. And you could see the difference in style from this particular era to this. They were going in a more sort of funky direction, and I think that was the influence of Glenn Hughes and Coverdale, who had a more of a soulful voice, bluesy, very different to Ian Gillan. Nonetheless, a great version of Purple, I think, Mark III, and had some amazing tracks. They would go on to do Stormbringer and Come Taste the Band, obviously with Tommy Bolin once Blackmore left. So this is another one worth checking out. Both of these are available, I think, as I say, released by EMI. This one also has audio options, bonus material. I think there's an insert inside. Right one there. There's Mr. Glenn Hughes on bass. He wasn't doing too well on the day. He was a bit worse for wear. He was dabbling a bit in the coke and what have you back in the day, but he still pulls it off. Not sure if I showed you. There's also a booklet with the other one as well. So there we go. Another 2 concerts to check out. In these days of no concerts happening, it's good to revisit these. It's quite interesting watching the early one, because I had to refresh my memory. The Denmark one, and I was seeing kids in the audience. They couldn't have been older than 9 or 10. No adults in the crowd, nobody looking after them. So things were quite lax back in the day in Denmark, it seems. So there you go. Check them out. There should be quite a bit of footage of this on YouTube, I think, but I think both DVDs are still available. Next week, we're going to have a look at probably my favorite rock band of all time, being Led Zeppelin. They've made quite a few DVDs, so I'll see what I can gather together and show you guys. Have a good week. Look after yourselves. Please like and subscribe, and any comments will be greatly appreciated. Have a good one. Cheers.